Hello guys, I hope you all are doing good. I am Vaishali Khan and we are discussing physics. Now we are moving on to the next chapter, that is the light rays, reflection and refraction. So we are going to start our discussion with the basics of this chapter and then we will see some numericals based upon this chapter in the end of this video. So let's start our discussion with the basic topics. First topic is light. What is light? Light is a form of energy that is visible to the human eyes. Light is that energy that we can see, right? So light is a form of energy that is visible to the human eye. Now coming to the transmission of the light, how the transmission of the light takes place, right? So now first we are going to talk about the linear propagation, according to which light rays will travel in the straight lines. So according to the linear propagation, we have the light described as traveling in the straight line, and this is one of the properties of the light rays, that light will travel in the straight line while it is propagating. What is a ray then? Ray is the path taken by the light energy. The light energy is following a path and this path is called as the ray. Coming to the speed of light. Speed of light in vacuum has the value 299,792,458 meter per second, or approximately we represent it as 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. We know the universal wave equation, according to which velocity of the wave is equal to frequency of the wave multiplied with the wavelength of the wave. So V is equal to F lambda, and for the light we know the wave is traveling with the speed of light, so C is equal to F lambda. Coming to the ray of light. Ray of light will be converging. Also it can diverge or it can remain parallel as they propagate through the uniform medium. Right? So the property of the ray of light, that it can converge, it can diverge, or it can travel parallel like the way it was traveling before. So it depends upon the medium. Right? So if you have some lenses, we are going to talk in detail about lenses in the next video. So that time I will tell you how the rays converge or diverge. Right? So rays can converge, diverge, or remain parallel as they propagate through the uniform medium. Coming to the reflection and the formation of image. You can see the figure. Here we have the reflection of light from a plane surface. The light, when it is falling on a plane surface, it is reflected back. Right? So first of all we are going to talk about various terminology, then we are going to talk about the laws of reflection. So the first terminology is the incident ray. Incident ray is the approaching ray of light. So if I am having the reflection of light from a particular object, the ray of light which is approaching to this object, so that ray of light is called as the incident ray. Coming to the reflected ray, it is the ray of light that is reflected from the reflecting surface. This was the reflecting surface, this was the incident wave. After getting incident light, as soon as the incident light is falling on the reflecting surface, it is reflecting the light, and this reflected ray is called as the reflected ray. Now coming to the point of incidence. The point of incidence is the point at which incident ray strikes the reflecting surface. So if this is the incident ray, it is striking this surface. The point at which this incident ray is striking this surface, this point, right? So if I represent it like this, so this point where this ray is striking this surface, this is the point of incidence. Right? So this point of incidence will depend upon the incident ray and the angle at which the incident ray is falling. Right? So now after that we have a normal. Normal is a line drawn at the right angle to the reflecting surface at the point of incidence. So this is the point of incidence. If I make a line which is perpendicular to this surface, reflecting surface, and it is present at the point of incidence, so this line is called as the normal. Coming to the angle of incidence. Angle of incidence is represented as theta I, right? So if I have two lines, right? So this is the incident ray, this is the normal. The angle between the incident ray and the normal is called as the angle of incidence. It's the angle between incident ray and the normal. Similarly, we have the angle of reflection, which is the angle between the reflected ray and the normal. Coming to the laws of reflection, we have basically two laws of reflection. First is the angle of incidence will be equal to the angle of reflection. Theta I will be equal to theta R. This is the first law of reflection. The second is the incident ray, the reflected ray, as well as the normal. All of them are lying in the same plane. right? So there would not be different plane for the angle of incidence. In the same plane, if I have the angle of incidence, so like this is the surface, this is the normal, this is the incident ray, and this is a reflected ray. All of them you can see are lying in the same plane of the board, right? So same, this is the law where the incident ray, reflected ray and the normal all lie in the same plane. Coming to the images in a plane mirror, how the images are formed in the plane mirror. You must have seen the images in the plane mirror. Mostly mirrors are reflecting 90% of the light that is falling on them, but they can absorb around the 10% of the light. So light which you are, or the images that you are seeing in the mirror is just the 90% light. The 10% it has absorbed, right? Coming to the object point. Object point is a point which is representing a source of ray, whether production or reflection, right? So the source of ray, where the production or whether the production or reflection point of the source, that is called as the object point. Now coming to the virtual image point. Virtual image point is a point from which rays from an object point appear to diverge, right? It's a virtual image point from which I will be having the rays appearing to be diverged. So if the rays are like this, diverging from this point, so this point is known as the virtual image point, right? So if the object is seen from this side, we are having the diverged image falling into our eyes, and this is how we see the object. If the person moved here, so these rays are coming to the eye, and the person can now see these rays, right? So now you can see the figure. Here we have the image appears to be the same distance behind the mirror as the object is in the front of the mirror. So if you change your distance from the mirror, if you move towards the mirror, the image will also move towards the mirror, right? So the image will be at the same distance behind the mirror, like the same distance object is placed in the front of the mirror. So let's suppose this is the mirror, this is the object. So the image will be same distance behind this mirror. If I make this object close, so the image will also come close towards the mirror, right? So now coming to the multiple images, we can form the multiple images from a single object point by the use of two or more mirrors, right? So like if I have two mirrors, I can form three images. And how to locate the location of the images that are formed inside the mirror? We are using the ray diagram. Ray diagrams are used to locate the image points. You can see the figure. In the figure you can see it is represented how your eyes see eye to one, right? So we have geometrically object and three images. One object is present and three images are present, and these three images are lying at the corner of a rectangle whose center is at the intersection of the mirrors, right? We will make a rectangle. The center would be at the intersection of the two mirrors, and the three corners will be having the three images of the given object, right? Now coming to the refraction of light. Refraction of light is a change in the direction of light, that is as it passes from one medium to another of differing density. So if I have two medium, like if I have air, light passing from air and the glass. So light, when it is passing from air to the glass, air is having different density, glass is having different density. So light when moved from air to the glass, it changes its direction, it changes its path from the straight line path. This phenomena is called as refraction. It is a change in direction of light as it passes from one medium to the another of differing density. You can see the figure. Here we have partial reflection and partial refraction, right? You can see in the figure here we have both the phenomena occurring simultaneously, reflection as well as refraction. You can see the ray 2 is reflected back into the air and ray 3 is refracted through the glass, right? So ray 2 is the reflected ray, ray 3 is the refracted ray. Now incident ray will be extended into the glass and refracted ray is banked towards the normal. So it is bent towards the normal, right? So refracted ray will bend towards the normal because now here we have the glass which is of higher density than the air. So when the light is moving from the lower density to the higher density, or light is moving from a medium where its speed is higher to the medium in the glass, the speed of the light is lower. So now when the light is moving from a higher speed medium to a lower speed medium, it will bend towards the normal. So you can see in the figure also, the refracted ray is bent towards the normal. The angle of refraction is less than the angle of incidence in this case. You can see the figure here. We have light that is coming from air to the glass, and you can see how the bending effect of the light is observed very clearly. Coming to the angle of refraction, which is represented as theta capital R. This is the angle between the refracted ray and the normal, right? So angle between refracted ray and the normal is the angle of refraction. Coming to the partial reflection and refraction. Now we know the concept of reflection. Now we know the concept of refraction. Partial reflection and refraction will mean that I have some of the light which is reflecting and some of the light which is refracting. So both of the phenomena will be occurring. Beam of light is splitting into two rays. One is reflected and another is refracted. You can see the figure here. We have the image of object beneath the water which appears closer to the surface than the object. Why this image is appearing closer to the surface than the object? Because the actual distance of the object is very deep, but the object looks raised. So this is the coin which is placed inside the water. This is the water in the beaker. When the light is falling over here, so light will bend towards the normal, because this is air is the lower density region, water is the higher density region. So this ray of light which are appearing to come from this coin, it will be meeting over here only. This is the location where the coin is appearing to be there, but the coin was actually present over here because the light ray are bending towards the normal, right? So the light ray bending towards the normal shows that the object beneath the water appears closer to the surface than the object. Coming to the index of refraction. What is the index of refraction? It is represented as N. It is the ratio of speed of light in vacuum to the speed of light in the given medium. So N is represented as C upon V, which is the speed of light in vacuum upon speed of light in medium. The higher the index of refraction, the slower the speed of light and smaller the angle of refraction. If I increase the refractive index, that time I will be having the slower speed of light in the medium, and the angle of refraction becomes more or less, right? So it will be bending more towards the normal, right? And the speed of light would be even lesser in the given medium if we increase the refractive index. Coming to the laws of refraction, like the laws of reflection, we have the laws of refraction. First law of refraction says the ratio of the sine of the angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is a constant, and which is known as Snell's law. According to it, sine of angle of incidence, sine theta I, angle of incidence was theta I. So sine theta I, it is the ratio with the sine of angle of reflection upon sine theta R. Capital R we have taken because we are talking about the angle of refraction. Sine theta I upon sine theta R is equal to N, right? N is my constant over here, and this formula is known as the Snell's law, right? So the angle, the incident ray, the refracted ray are on the opposite side of the normal at the point of the incidence. So now if this is my point of incidence, this is my incident ray, this is the normal, right? So the refracted ray will come on the opposite side of the normal. This is my refracted ray. So the incident ray and the refracted ray are on the opposite side of the normal at the point of the incidence, and all are in the same plane. You can see all of them are in the plane of the board. Now coming to the general equation of the Snell's law. According to the general equation of Snell's law, I have N1 sine theta 1 is equal to N2 sine theta 2. Right, so this is the general equation of the Snell's law. So N1 is the refractive index of the first medium, theta 1 is the angle which the ray is making with the normal in the first medium, N2 is the refractive index of the second medium, theta 2 is the angle that is the ray which is making in the second medium with respect to the normal. Coming to the lateral displacement. When the light is passing through a glass slit, let's suppose, so there is a sideways shifting in the path of the refracted ray, right? So now you can see in the figure also, and here you can see we have a glass slab. light is passing over here. So this is my normal. Light will bend towards the normal here. The light will move away from the normal because it is moving from the denser medium to the rarer medium. So now if I observe the incident ray and the ray which is coming out, these are having some displacement in between them. So this is called as the lateral displacement. So the ray has shifted sidewise. So this is a sidewise shifting in the path of the refracted ray. You can see in the figure. Now coming to the prism. What is a prism? Prism is a transparent solid that has at least two plane refracting surfaces, right? So if any solid which is transparent and it has at least two plane refracting surfaces, so the two plane refracting surfaces are there, it is transparent, so we call this surface as a prism. You can see the figure here. We have light entering a circular prism, and you can see how the prism will behave if the light is coming. There would be two refraction that will be happening in the prism. Coming to the phenomena of total internal reflection. So total internal reflection is the reflection of light in optically denser medium. It occurs when the angle of incidence is more dense medium is equal to or greater than the certain critical angle. So now here it is happening in the denser medium, like light is traveling from air to the glass. So sometimes you must have seen in the glass, you can see the reflection of the outside. So this happens when we have a glass and we are sending the light. So if you are observing the light from certain angle, so this is the glass, right? So light is coming over here. So in the glass, what will happen? Light will refract. But now we have certain angle of incidence. This angle of incidence is such that this light will reflect back. This angle of incidence at which the refraction will not happen at the glass, but reflection will happen at the glass. This angle is called as the greater angle than the critical angle, and this phenomena where light is reflecting from the glass surface is called as the total internal reflection. You can see the figure. Here we have the variation of theta I and its effect. You can see when I am increasing the theta I from theta I to be very small, let's suppose we started with the theta I 10, 20, 30, 40 and we are increasing the theta I. Now we got a certain angle of incidence in which the reflected ray becomes parallel to the surface, and after that the ray comes out by the reflection phenomena. So you can see the reflection as well as refraction when I am varying the theta I. So the first case is shown where we have theta I less than theta C. So when the critical angle is greater than the angle of incidence is lower than the critical angle, at that time partial refraction and partial reflection will occur. Now at the critical angle, theta I will be equal to theta C and the ray will become parallel to the surface of the higher density. So now when I have theta I greater than theta C, at that time we will be having total internal reflection. Coming to the critical angle. Critical angle is the angle in an optically denser medium at which total internal reflection will occur, and at this angle the angle of refraction in the less denser medium is 90 degree. So angle of reflection will become 90 degree at the critical angle. So this is the angle in optically denser medium at which the total internal reflection will occur, and at this angle the angle of refraction will become, in the less denser medium, will become 90 degree. So critical angle is a very important angle after which we will observe the phenomena of total internal reflection. Before critical angle, up to critical angle, we will observe the refraction. Coming to the applications of total internal reflection. First application is in the mirror and prism. So the rear surface of the mirror will be having multiple images. Also it will be having the dispersion, you can see in the figure. We will be having the formation of the multiple images in the mirror, and the extra images are weaker than the images formed at the silver surface, and thus the sum of the extra images are unnoticed when you see the mirror. You can have some different multiple images of the same object, but the extra images that are forming are unnoticed because of their very low intensity, right? They are very weaker than the main image that is formed, you can see in the figure. Right, then we have The prism also, in the prism also we have the application of the total internal reflection. You can see the figure here, we have the binoculars where we are using the total internal reflection prism in series of lenses so as to form the binoculars to see a area of a very long distance at a very close distance, right? So if I have a object very far apart, if I want to observe it from near, I can use binoculars, and binoculars are using the phenomena of total internal reflection prism. Prism is in series with the lenses. So now you can see the next figure. Here you can see how we are using the total internal reflection concept in the prism. So prism will be having the changing and rotation in the altitude of the image. When I have the 45-degree right angled prism, you can see there is an image that is formed which is 90-degree or 180-degree deflected image from the main image, right? So if I have some image, input image, we will be getting 90-degree or even 180-degree deflected image when I use a right angle 45-degree prism. So this is used in the laser applications as well. Now coming to the next application of the total internal reflection, which is in the fiber optics and communication. So in the fiber optics, optical fiber communication, we are using the concept of the total internal reflection. You can see the figure here. The rays are reflected out, but the ray 2, 3 and 4, they are not reflected out from the optical fiber. You can see the ray 1 only has been reflected out because it is not obeying the critical angle rule, right? So when the angle of incidence is more than critical angle, then the ray will be trapped inside the optical fiber and ray will move inside the optical fiber. There is very less loss of light energy in this case. So this is the reason these optical fibers are preferred over the traditional wires for transmission of the information, right? Because the very less loss of information would be there. You can see the figure here. If we have bended or twisted the optical fiber, you can see then also light will travel without getting wasting of the energy, without getting outside of the optical fiber. So how the light is traveling inside the optical fiber? Light is traveling inside the optical fiber with the total internal reflection phenomena. Even when you are twisting it, bending it, there is no effect on the movement of the light. You can see the figure here. We are using the laser light and thin glass fiber. So now you can see the laser light and the thin glass fiber will contain more signal. It will transmit more signals in the same channel. We can have more and more communications happening together in the given optical fiber. We have less energy loss and it is not affected by solar flares, lightning flashes and other electronic interferences. So now you can see we have a glass fiber which is surrounded with a transparent protection cladding. So inside the glass fiber the light is moving, and outside the glass fiber we have a protective covering which is called as cladding, right? So cladding is a protective covering which even saves the light from going out of the optical fiber. So it maintains that light will move inside the optical fiber. Also it is giving me mechanical support for the optical fiber. Coming to the applications of refraction, the first application will be twinkling and shimmering of the light. So you must have observed the twinkling of the stars, you must have observed the shimmering effect of the light. How it is happening? When I have the constant pressure, if I increase the temperature, refractive index will decrease. At the constant temperature, if I increase the pressure, refractive index will increase, right? So when the pressure is constant, I am increasing the temperature, refractive index will decrease for the given medium. If I have temperature constant, if I increase pressure, refractive index will increase. So twinkling and shimmering will happen when I have the fluctuation in the temperature. We know in the atmosphere we have that variation in the temperature. We say that the refractive index of the air is 1, but we have the variation in the temperature of the air, right? At the night we will be having different temperature, at the daytime we will be having different temperature. Also different laters of the atmosphere will be having the different temperature. So we will be having the different refractive indices of the different layers of the atmosphere. So the temperature variation in the atmosphere will cause the refractive index variation. It causes the twinkling and the shimmering effect. Coming to the mirages. Now we have the two types of mirages. First is the inferior mirages. So inferior mirages are formed when I have the cooler layer of air above the warmer layer. If I have cooler layer upside and a warmer layer below, you can see in the figure also, then what will happen? The cooler layer is above, warmer layer is below. So in the cooler layer, light will be having more speed. In the warmer layer, we will be having lesser speed of light. So it will be acting like a optically rarer medium when I have cool region. In the denser medium, where we have the higher temperature, we will be acting it as like a denser medium. So the light will bend towards the normal, and here also we will be having the concept of the total internal reflection. So if there is light coming from the sky, right, so this is the cooler layer, this is the hot layer. So light is coming from the sky and it will appear to be reflected back. So reflected back, so the sky is observed to the observer. So let's suppose the observer is present here, and this is the cooler layer, this is the hot layer, right? So we have cooler layer, the hot layer. Light is coming from the sky. If the angle of incidence is such that it obeys the critical angle rule, which means angle of incidence is greater than critical angle, light will reflect back and it will reach to the eyes of the observer. So now this is the total internal reflection phenomena. So observer can see the image of sky on the ground. Image is appearing to be coming from here. So that phenomena where we observe the image of sky on the ground, it appears that water is spilled. You can see when it is a very hot day, and at that time when you are driving on a road, so you observe the water spilled region, but you can never reach to this region. This is the phenomena of inferior mirage and the phenomena of total internal reflection, right? Coming to the next type of mirage, that is the superior mirage, when we have the denser layer lie below the less dense layer. So that time you can see we have the shifting in the position of the object. The object will appear at a different location than it actually is. So we will see the object is appearing at a particularly different region because the light will be refracting and reaching to the observer. Now coming to the shape of the sun. The shape of the sun is also appearing to be changed. It appears to be more oval shape as it approaches the horizon. So when the sun is approaching horizon, sun is appearing to be oval shaped, but it is not. It is again based upon the same phenomena of the refraction, because the temperature is changing during the time of sunset, and due to which we will be having the refraction of the light, and due to which the sun will be appearing oval shaped. Now coming to the dispersion and the rainbow. Dispersion is the spreading of the white light into its spectrum of the color. So white light is composed of the Vibgyor colors, right? So when the white light is passed through a prism, it will be spreading into the spectrum color, Vibgyor color. This phenomena is called as the dispersion. Now coming to the primary rainbow. Rainbow of the visible spectrum color that is resulting from a single internal reflection in the raindrops. So in the raindrops, during the rainy season, we have the raindrops in the atmosphere, and inside the raindrop we have single total internal reflection. Because of the total internal reflection, the raindrop will be acting like a prism, and the light will be constituting its 7 colors, right? So light will be dispersing into the 7 colors as soon as they pass and they cross through this water droplet. So the white light is now splitting into the 7 colors, Vibgyor, and thus we observe a primary rainbow. So only one total internal reflection will happen in the primary rainbow. So I hope you understood the basic concepts of this subject, and now based upon these concepts, let's discuss some of the numericals on this subject. So now coming to the numericals. So let's start with the first problem for the day. It states a laser based on yttrium aluminium garnet called YAG laser emits a wavelength of 1064 nanometer. Calculate the frequency of the laser. So lambda is given, the wavelength of the light is given, which is 1064 nanometer, which can be represented as 1.06 into 10 raised to power minus 6 meter. The speed of light in vacuum is c, which we all know is 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. And now we know the relation between c, lambda and frequency. So c is equal to f into lambda. We know this relation, so we can put the value of c, which is 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second, is equal to f into lambda, which is 1.06 into 10 raised to power minus 6 meters. So now we can divide this by this and we can get the frequency. So frequency is equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second upon 1.06 into 10 raised to power minus 6 meter. So it will come out to be equal to 2.83 into 10 raised to power 14 hertz. Right, so I hope you understood the problem number 1. Very simply it was calculated the frequency. Now coming to the next question, it states, given an object located in front of a plane mirror, locate the image and show how the eye sees it. So this is my object and this is my eye and this is the mirror, right? So how this object is seen inside the mirror, we have to show that. So first of all, what we are going to do, we have the object in front of the mirror. We are going to draw a line from the object to the mirror such that it is perpendicular to the mirror. So we are going to make a perpendicular line from the object to the mirror, right? Now we are going to extend this line. This line is 1, which is perpendicular to the mirror. Now we are going to extend this line equal distance behind the mirror so as to locate the image, right? So image is equal distance behind the mirror. Now the eye perceives the light originate from a point source image behind the mirror. So light is appeared coming from the image, but actually it was coming from the object. So eyes sees the light coming from this image and we make a virtual cone of light which is coming towards the eyes. The light rays from the point source travel out in all the direction and they include a cone of rays traveling towards the eye. So this is the cone of rays. This is the cone of rays which is traveling towards the eye, which is represented by 3. But actually what was happening, the light from the object was reflected from the mirror and it is going towards the eye, right? Actually this is the light, but what is perceived by the eye, that light is coming from the image. Rays actually originate from the object as illustrated. Note that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So if this is the ray, for this is the angle of incidence and this would be the angle of reflection, right? So this would be the angle of reflection, right? So angle I will be equal to angle R for all of the cases. I hope you understood this. Now coming to the next case, zircon has n is equal to 1.92. Calculate the speed of light in it and express the speed in terms of speed of light in vacuum, right? So C is 3 into 10 raised to power 8. We know the n is given. N is the refractive index. So refractive index is 1.92. V is, we have to find out. So we know the relationship between the refractive index and the speed. So refractive index is equal to speed of light in vacuum upon speed of light in medium. So we know speed of light in the vacuum, we know the n. So from this relation we can find out the v, right? So now let's put it. So n is equal to 1.92, which will be equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 upon v, right? From here, if I want to calculate the v will be equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 upon 1.92, which will be coming out to be equal to 1.56 into 10 raised to power 8. Now the second part was we have to express the speed in the terms of speed of light. So v can be represented as c upon n, right? So from this relation, if I express v, this n come in the denominator and v will go here in the left hand side. So v will be equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 upon n, right? So n is here 1.92, right? So instead of 3 into 10 raised to power 8, let's put c only. So c upon 1.92. So when you calculate it, so it will be 0.521 c, and this is how we have calculated v is equal to 0.521 c in the terms of speed of light in the vacuum. Now coming to the next question, it states light travel from ground glass G into the water. The angle of incidence in ground glass is 40 degree. What is the angle of reflection in water? So now refractive index of glass is given 1.52, refractive index of water is 1.33, right? So these things we already know. Now theta G is the angle of incidence in the glass, which is 40 degree. Now I have to find out the theta W. I know the relation eta G sin theta G is equal to eta W sin theta W. So here eta represents the refractive index. So refractive index of glass, let's put its value 1.52 sin 40 is equal to eta W is 1.33 sin of theta W. So now what we will be doing, we will be taking 1.33 here in the denominator. So sin of theta W will come out to be equal to 0.735 and theta W will be equal to sin inverse of 0.735, right? So when you calculate it with the help of the calculator, theta W will be coming out to be equal to 47.3 degree. So this is the angle of refraction in water. Now coming to the next question, it states what is the critical angle in water? Include a diagram in your solution. So now this is my diagram. So here for the finding out the critical angle, we consider the light is traveling from denser medium to the rarer medium. So denser medium is the water and the rarer medium is the air, and light is traveling from the denser medium to the rarer medium. So critical angle is that angle where the angle in the rarer medium will become 90 degree. So theta A will become 90 degree, right? So now we know the refractive index of water, refractive index of air, which is 1.33 and 1. So I told you critical angle is found out at the point where the angle in the rarer medium become 90. So theta air will become 90. We now know again the relation between the refractive indexes. So NW sin theta C is equal to N air sin theta air. So what is NW? It is 1.33 sin theta C we have to find out, and air is 1, and now it is multiplied with sine of 90, right? We all know sine of 90 is 1. So sine of theta C will be equal to 1 upon 1.33. So sine of theta C will be equal to 0.752, and theta C from here will be equal to sine inverse 0.752, which is equal to 48.8 degree. So I hope you understood this question. Now coming to the next question, it states an incident ray of light enters a 45, 90, 45 flint prism as shown in the figure. Trace the ray through the angles of incidence, reflection and refraction at each boundary until the light leaves the prism. Record your observation. So here the light is coming and light moves inside the prism, right? So when it moves inside the prism, it get incidented on the boundary 2 at angle 45. Now from here it reflects again at the angle 45 degree, and at the boundary 3 it reaches at 90 degree and it moves as it is. So now if I talk about the boundary 1, here the angle of incidence is 0, angle of reflection is 0, and angle of refraction is 0, right? So there is no reflection, there is no refraction at the boundary 1. But if I see the boundary 2, there is reflection. The angle of incidence here is 45, the angle of reflection is 45, but there is no refraction. Light is not moving out of the boundary 2, so no refraction. If I see the boundary 3, the angle of incidence is 0, the angle of reflection and refraction both are 0. So I hope you understood all of them. I hope all of the things now very clear. If you have any doubt, you can put the doubt in the comment section. Don't forget to download our mobile app Vaishali Easy Learning to get connected to us, and also for the notes you can visit our app. You can see the various courses that are available on the app as well. If you have still not connected with us on the various other platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, and if you have still not subscribed the YouTube channel, please do it fast so that you can get more material from us. So I hope you are going to meet me soon in the next class. Thank you so much.